Have you got a problem with your Harley Softail oil? I'll talk about it inside. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So in this video I'm talking about Harley Softail models. I've got a Sport Glide. I'm going to be talking about troubleshooting from the owner's manual but also from the service manual. And this information hopefully will help you out to diagnose a problem and relay that information to your mechanic or your technician if you're not working on the bike yourself. Okay, so for the first one here, I'm going to talk about the oil does not return to the oil reservoir for whatever reason. Okay, so you've got an empty oil reservoir, oil pump not functioning, restricted oil lines and fittings, restricted oil filter, the O-ring is damaged and missing from the oil pump crankcase junction, also results in poor engine performance. Well, why is your oil reservoir empty? If you've got an oil leak, it could be as simple as that. You could be burning oil, and we'll sort of discuss that a little bit for whatever reason. You've got an oil pump that's not functioning properly. Remember, as I said in previous videos, the M8 engine had oil pump issues when it actually went up into stage 3, stage 4 operations or upgrades. And for the bigger engines, they couldn't actually, the oil pump wasn't sufficient enough for that kind of work, so they had to change the oil pump. And I think in the bigger engine, they actually had to put that in as standard. And if you do have the stage 3, stage 4 upgrade as well, that bigger oil pump will be put in. It doesn't affect M8 engines stock standard, and it doesn't affect M8 engines, I believe, certainly to stage 1, I believe up to stage 2 as well. But something you may want to check with your Harley dealer about the oil pump. So this was early M8 engines. This has all been resolved now. They've had service bulletins. They've already sorted this out. But obviously there will be a change if needed. Okay, yeah, so if you've got damaged oil lines for whatever reason, restricted or leaking oil lines, fittings, you know, that's going to cause issues. The oil filter, yeah, again, blocked oil filter, damaged oil filter for whatever reason, and then obviously the O-rings as well. Anything that's causing leaking, whatever, that's why you're not getting good circulation and you're not getting oil coming back to the reservoir. Engine oil, engine uses, I should say, too much oil and smokes excessively. Oh crikey, have you ever had a cylinder go, you know, a ring go, piston ring go, then all of a sudden you get that horrible smoke come out? Yeah, that's it's in its worst case. But let's say you know, you've just got the oil reservoir is just overfilled. It's simple. You've got too much oil in there, and there's too much oil in the system, and it's just going to start leaking through, and then it'd be chucked out the back. Restricted oil return line to the oil reservoir. I mean, that could be a blockage within the return lines as well. It could have been sort of deposits within the oil. That's why you want regular oil changes on your bike, not just Harley, any bike, because any kind of engine internal degradation, you're going to have little tiny minor deposits, let's say, metal fragments, tiny microscopic ones. They can build up over time. They can cause blockages and all that kind of stuff, as well as wear and everything else like that. The restricted breather operation, we've got a restricted oil filter, oil pump misaligned or in poor condition, we talked about that before. Piston rings badly worn or broken, yes, I've already talked about that. Valve guides or seals worn or damaged, yeah, valves, you know, if you've got poor issues with the valves, with all that oil at the top as well, that's going to cause issues, oil leakage as well. O-ring damage or missing from the oil pump crankcase junction, yeah. Talked about any O-ring that's missing is going to cause oil leakage, oil bypassing, that kind of thing. Plugged crankcase scavenge port. Okay, so again, you got a scavenge port in the crankcase, that's going to cause issues. If you got, this comes down to the quality of oil and how that engine is degrading over a period of time, and why you really need to change that oil, have regular services. Whether you're doing it yourself, whether you're taking it to a dealer or a mechanic, whatever, it needs to be done. And oil diluted with gasoline, you know, for whatever reason, you know, if that oil is getting into the fuel air mixture for whatever reason, that's where you're going to get oil going out, and that's usually the exhaust, I should say, and that's usually down to piston rings and everything like that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is engine leaks from the cases, your push rods and your hoses and everything. If you've got any kind of engine leaks, now why have you got engine leaks? It's going to be down to bolts not torqued down properly, or they've come undone for whatever reason. There wasn't enough Loctite applied, thread lock, whatever. You've got blown gaskets, you've got blown rings, O-rings, that kind of thing. So just go through here and I'll tell you what it's about. So you got loose parts for whatever reason, they're just loose. Okay, you got imperfect seals at the gaskets, push rod covers, washers. Okay, you got restricted breather passages or hose to air cleaner, restricted oil filter, oil reservoir overfilled. Okay, that's why again we're getting these oil leaks. Lower rocker housing gasket installed incorrectly. Okay, and it says here upside down. Okay, usually most things on any engine, not just motorcycle engines, they go in one way. That's it, and they're designed to go in one way. So if something's been put in incorrectly, there you go. Restricted oil return line to oil reservoir, and also it says here porosity. If you've got, you know, basic holes, microscopic holes, that's causing leakage through that. You would imagine porosity is down to long-term ownership and high mileage. Not necessarily high mileage, but long-term ownership. Also that the bike has been kept in conditions that may cause this kind of thing. You know, exposure to heat, direct sunlight over long periods of time, a drying effect on the bike in general, you know, over any sort of hoses, O-rings, that kind of thing. That kind of thing over a long period of time. That's why any engine, any machine needs regular maintenance to protect it against that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is low oil pressure. Okay, so if you've got low oil pressure, why have you got low oil pressure? Well, you've got the oil reservoir. You haven't got enough oil in the system, basically. That's why it's underfilled. A faulty low oil pressure switch. So you might have correct oil pressure. It's just the oil pressure switch that indicates low oil pressure is faulty. It happens, actually happens quite a lot in engines. It's not uncommon, let's put it that way, it's not uncommon. Oil pump O-ring damaged or missing. Well, be interested to see why it's missing, but yeah, damaged, that could be the reason. The bypass valve stuck in the open position. Yep, okay, so that's the reason. Why does a bypass valve open? I mean, in general terms, bypass valves open because of contamination, because of blockages, because of temperature variations. So instead of going a normal route, it will go via a bypass route, and something has triggered that and it's stuck open. So that's why. We've got ball missing or leaking in cam support plate. Okay, so these are mechanical issues now. Worn oil pump. So for whatever reason, the oil pump is worn. The components within the oil pump is worn as well. Already talked about problems with oil pumps initially with M8 engines, and that was just not pumping around enough oil in the system to cope with the increased performance demands of a particular engine or a particular upgrade. So we're going to talk about, and then oil diluted with fuel as well. So that's obviously going to affect its cooling and lubricating qualities as well. Remember, gasoline or fuel is a very drying effect on any surface, on your hands, on engines, whereas oil is a very moisturizing, if that's the right word, lubricating, cooling effect as well, on that kind of thing. Right, now, high oil pressure. Okay, so the high oil pressure, we're going to talk about this the last now. Well, why have you got high oil pressure? Well, one of the reasons is that the reservoir is overfilled. You've got too much oil in the system, and the bypass valve is stuck in a closed position. So, you know, it needs to be open. That bypass valve, for whatever reason, the oil needs to be diverted back, whether on the scavenge line or whatever. It needs to be diverted, but it isn't. It's stuck closed, so it's just staying in the engine. It's whatever, and that's why you get a build-up of oil pressure within the system where it actually should be going back to the reservoir. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, well, that's your oil. That's your oil troubleshooting. You know, that's some of the reasons why you're having oil issues on your bike. Hopefully, you found this of use. As I say, you know, the more information that you can learn about your bike, the more information that I would certainly recommend getting a service manual. Check out my video about how to do that as well. Get a service manual, but you know, have a good relationship with your Harley dealership, with your mechanic as well. Try and find out as much about your bike as possible, so if something does happen, then you can relay that information to them, and you can start to understand why things are happening. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to start fixing your bike as well, but you start to become more engaged with the process, and you start to understand why something might be happening as well. Hopefully this helps you out. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and I'll catch you on the next video, whenever that is. Cheers now.
RevelatorAlf.